Hi.
How are you?
Great. Oh, it's nice to see you again.
It's so good to see you, and Gizmo is ready. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? I've been rambling on for a few minutes. I don't think we need to go over all the things. Everybody knows that this is sort of the final Q&A.
I love it when people say I've had plastic surgery. That's awesome. That means stuff is working. Keep saying that. Have we gone through that this is a friendly, kind zone?
No, we haven't. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I would. This place that you built, the community, is a place of love and kindness and sharing of information. And some of our lives have had some toxic people on there that we don't appreciate. And so if you're going to write negative comments, think again or just leave. We don't need you here. This is a place where we want to have everybody feel welcome and just share kindness and information that's useful. I think last time it was great, so let's continue doing that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Join. And look at that, we've got over 2,000 people. Thank you all for joining. So we're going to really try to get through a lot today. Biomarkers, how long do you think we can live? What's coming in the future? And what can we do right now in our diet and other things that you're all about?
Yeah, and thank you for just adding all that in kind words and that reminder. And I again wanted to just acknowledge the audience, because when I first said it, people were trickling in at 700 or 800 and 1,500. But thank you all so much for being so patient. Sometimes scheduling gets off. Sometimes the tech is off. David and I both travel quite a bit. Our separate schedules are very, very full. And so sometimes we have to reschedule, and we really appreciate that you guys stay tuned and you follow and you show up for us when we show up. So I just wanted to acknowledge all of you for doing that, because I know it's been about a week and a half.
Yeah, when I see kind comments, when we both see kind comments about us together on this show or just us individually, it means a lot to us, actually. We like to have feedback, whether we're doing a good job. I'm seeing a lot of positive comments. So thank you. That helps us a lot in just thinking about how much we should keep doing this, and should we keep doing this? And it seems it's being well received.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's dive in then. I've already let everyone know that this is a follow-up Q&A to our series that follows your podcast. Where they can find it, definitely should go back and listen in and read all the things. I think you tune in right at that point. So let's talk about episode 8 of the Lifestyle podcast and all the topics that you cover there. So the first one is biotracking, and we've talked about that. You've talked about it. We've shared our different, techniques and tools that are, some are tangible, actual tracking tools, and then some are things that are just sort of modalities that actually aid in those tracking tools. But I'm going to have you define what exactly biotracking is for people who are kind of tuning in for the first time or didn't get a chance to listen to the episode.
Yeah. So we coined this phrase about 10 years ago. It's the idea that if you don't measure it, you can't fix it. And we drive cars with dashboards, and we take it for granted that we need to know when we're speeding, when we need gas, when we're overheating. But we don't do the same for our bodies. We typically go in maybe once or twice a year to see our doctors or see a dentist. And that's crazy. Our cars are monitored constantly by computers. Our bodies are not. And I would say our bodies are way more important than our cars. We don't want our bodies to get anywhere near being overheated or needing a big service. And going to the doctor once a year for an annual checkup to me seems medieval. What we want to do is to measure our bodies, well, at least every few months. We would need to know more detail than just questions. We need to know data. I'm a scientist. I'm driven by data. And you can measure things externally. You can have a watch. You can have a ring. We also can be more advanced. We can measure heart rate. And I have devices that actually can measure a lot about my heart. I stick it on my chest. I've got one here that sometimes I wear on my chest, and this will measure my body's movement, temperature, heart rate, all sorts of issues with my heart. If I'm going to have a heart attack, it'll know. And it probably costs $20 to make. Eventually, it'll be even less. And so this measures my body 1,000 times a second, and it syncs up with my phone. I hold this down, it'll start to hopefully go green. And these things are the way of the future, so that we're not just having a measurement with a blood test from our doctor once every year. I do blood biotracking with a company that is on our website, linked to this. It's called Inside Tracker, and they do tests for me, and they take a number of readings. We'll talk about those readings later. You can measure blood sugar and hormones. And then ultimately, you can even measure your brain, how your brain is doing and how well you're sleeping, and all of that's important for longevity as well. And then if you don't know those numbers, you don't know what's negatively affecting you or positively. You don't know what you're eating, if it's affecting you, or your supplements, or your sleep, or your meditation.
Yeah, and I would just like to add in a practice that people have been doing for a really long time. And it's like people use a scale. So let's say you want to lose weight or you want to gain weight. You kind of need to know the weight that you're at. And some people, will weigh in every other day or every week, but that's essentially just to track the process so you know where to begin and stop. So a lot of us already have, it's already in our minds, it's already in some way in our practice. It's just that we're just looking ahead, and now there's more devices that tell us so much more of what we need to know. So it's not even like a brand new habit or exercise that a lot of people have to instill. If you think about it, you do it in other ways. So now you just have to do it in this way. And I know that Dr. Sinclair held up one device, but that's not the only one. There are a lot of devices. We don't, like with supplements, we don't go through and endorsing a giant list of all different brands and devices and say, do your research, right? As David always says, do your research. And there's some that we vetted out. But there's a lot of devices out there now, more and more. So there's a lot of resources and tools. If something's not available where you are, there might be something else.
Right. And I didn't mention there are things you can breathe into that tell you if you're fasting well. You can have a test strip for your mouth to see if there's uric acid levels. These are really cheap. These are all the tools that you can use to help make sure that what you're doing is as optimal as it can be for you. And let's remember, we're all different, and so things that work for you and me are certainly different and are going to be different for everybody. We can generalize. We can tell you these are the types of foods and these are some supplements to try and do some exercise, but we're all so different genetically, epigenetically. Some of us like breakfast, some of us don't. These are all the things you need to work with, and you and I have been doing this for decades now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's just information. And one comment that's often brought to me when it comes to these tracking devices, whether it's the Oura Ring or the Whoop, there's so many different devices. People get anxiety. They tune in, they look, they sync it with their phone or their app, and the device says you didn't sleep well, you didn't do this and that. You just have to take it in as data. Like, it's just data. It's just information. It's just where you're at, know where you can improve, and no one's perfect, and some things, sometimes those data points can skew, something can throw us off. That's why we talk about CGMs, continued glucose monitors. Like, it tells you, okay, you know what, maybe chocolate spikes you, maybe it doesn't, maybe broccoli spikes you, but it's just about giving yourself that information. So to know that, for anyone who hasn't started, don't get anxious. If it shows red, don't get anxious. It's just...
And there are also ways to measure your biological age. You can do it through blood tests. You can have blood draw. Inside Tracker has one. There are other companies. I'm developing a product that will measure your biological age through a DNA test.
Let's focus on that for 1 second, because I know that people are interested in that. What is it that you're developing, and what will it do? Right.
So we think that, in my lab at least, we think that what drives most of aging is what's called epigenetic change, the forces in the cell that read genes correctly. And as we get older, our cells are not reading the genes correctly, and cells malfunction. And one measure of that are chemicals on the DNA called methylations. And this is a chemical that actually binds to the DNA and sticks to it. And it's these chemicals, methyls, are put onto the DNA as we're growing as an embryo. But over time, some of those little chemicals change. Some get removed, some get added. And some of these change very predictably with age, a few thousand of them out of 1 million or so. And we can read those with a sequencing machine. It's It's very easy. Any high school student could do it. And then when we plug those numbers into the computer, it tells us roughly how old we are biologically, which is astounding. It means that if you live the right lifestyle, often you can be 10 years younger than your actual chronological age. And vice versa, if you smoke and you don't eat the right foods and you don't exercise, often those people are 5 to 10 years older based on this test. And so what the problem has been with these tests is that they cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And even when you take the test, you might get the result 2 months later, and then they don't tell you what to do with that information. You just get a number and you think, okay, now what? It's like a party trick. So what I want to do is to, first of all, bring the price down. We just have a paper that's out online. You could Google it. It's under my name, David Sinclair. Patrick Griffin is my student, and it's called Time Seek. It's TIMESEQ. And it's a new method to do this test really cheaply, perhaps 100-fold cheaper eventually. And I want to, what we call democratize that, get everybody the ability to measure their own age and then get feedback. If they do an exercise, take a supplement or do both, measure it a few months later and see if it's had an impact. Just with a cheek swab, not with a blood test. And so that's the idea. And so the company, is it all right if I mention the company?
Of course.
Because people often ask me, so you can sign up. The test is being developed. In fact, we just have the new kits. I'll send you one, Serena, to try.
Yes.
And you can be part of this if you want to. It's called Tally Health, TALLY Health. And the website is tallyhealth.com. And you can sign up to be one of the early adopters of this and be part of actually the early testing of these kits that we've done.
And what we can do is we can add that too. We can add that website. There are a lot of questions about a list of products and devices and something as important as this. We'll add it to our Longevity Lifestyle series. We'll add it to that landing page, and we'll add it to our resources. And we'll add it to, of course, the emails that you get when you sign up. So I encourage all of you who haven't yet signed up for that email list to sign up there as well, because that will be constantly updated. That's a running list of resources that we curate. We have both our teams put in a lot of work to curate that information, and there are products that are on there now. But we're always looking for something even better, or what the best thing is to offer you guys. So what's on there now may change, in a couple months. Just stay up to date with it, sign up, and let you guys know. And some of those resources are already on there. And we'll add telehealth as well. And also the website, TimeSeek, we'll add that on there as well, or the link so that people can see the paper, right?
Okay, can people find the website easily?
It should be the link in your bio, unless it's changed. So It should be the link in your bio, and then the link in my bio where it says Longevity Lifestyle Series. That takes them to a landing page that houses all of that information, the ability to sign up for the list, links to some of the things we've talked about, and we'll update that with the links to telehealth and also TimeSeek.
And I'm excited about the newsletter that we'll distribute with extra information
that
we don't get time to put out on these lives.
Yeah.
There's so much information that you and I have in our heads. When you and I get talking, it's just coming out constantly. That's why it's fun to talk to you, because we've got all this information and we love talking about it. So should we do some more of that?
Yeah, so there's so many really great questions that came up, and I would love to set aside some time for that. You talked about biotracking and these different devices and biomarkers, but I would love to just kind of throw into people some of the standard tests that I like to have people run, so they can start tracking that way on their own, because so many of these tests can be ordered now.
Right. Everybody, go get a pen, get ready to type this. Or write it down.
So you definitely want, you want to know, I love to run like nutritional panels. So you want to know, and I'm not going to talk about the brand because those are brands that I work with, but you want to know your inflammatory markers, foods that you're sensitive to, food intolerances, your micronutrient levels, how much do you have in your body? What are you actually deficient in? Because you might be taking things supplementally that you don't actually need, which is just more work and energy for your body to process and digest. So I would say that those are really important. And then also if you know where your hormone levels are at, which we've talked about in a different episode before, just to kind of like have, know where your hormones are at, know where your hormone levels are at. Sorry, I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup right here as I'm chatting. So those are some of the basic tests. There's a lot more, and I'm sure you can add some as well. But
yeah, and while you do that, why don't I go through my list? So mine are, my basic ones are blood tests. So everybody read.
These are all blood tests.
Right. So I routinely have 43 measures done, but the main areas are you want to know your blood glucose levels. So your fat, you want to be fasting. You haven't eaten overnight. You're hungry in the morning. You don't drink coffee. You don't eat anything. And you want to know.
Don't drink anything. Just water, you guys. It's a common question. Fasting means nothing. Just water.
Yeah. So I had a test done yesterday. And I think you had one the day before. So we do this fairly regularly. And so the list of things that I do, glucose is a really important one. There's also another measure of glucose, which is called A1C, which a lot of young people are not given this test. Older people tend to, because that's a marker of type 2 diabetes, a measure. And if you're above about 7, you are considered type 2 diabetic. Depends on the country. What you want to be is less than 5. And for this fasting blood glucose, less than 100 is considered good, but I actually like to be in the range of about 70 to 80. And through my diet, I've been able to manage that. And so other markers that you want to have, so for males and females, you can measure testosterone and also sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG, which controls how much of these hormones are freely available to the body, so that should impart your sexual health. You also want to measure inflammation. That's super important for not aging. And the key measure, I think, for inflammation is C-reactive protein, or CRP. And if you have high levels of that, it predicts early death and cardiovascular disease. And so you really try.
What's great with that, just because I want people to pair the two, is to make sure when you do that that test and get that marker, you also test for the food intolerances, because they go hand in hand. Because you might get these numbers, but not know where they come from. So it's helpful when you do that with food inflammatory.
Great, that's really true. And the other thing that can stress you out is, of course, psychological stress. Also, you can over-exercise. If you over-exercise, when I see in people cortisol, if it's streaming through your body, you will age faster. This has been shown. And so you want to measure that as well.
Yeah, full hormone panel, because usually the doctors, at least here, they just do your standard, and so you really have to ask your doctor for a complete hormone panel, because then they check off a few boxes that they wouldn't normally check off.
And there are a few other interesting ones that I don't get done often. I don't know if you do. TNF alpha, IL-1 beta, IL-6. These are other inflammatory markers. These ones that I mentioned actually track with Alzheimer's disease. So it's really good to know how they're going, though I don't do that as routinely. Do you?
I do those maybe twice a year. I mean, I'm big on inflammation, obviously, and hormones, brain health. And then the one that we haven't talked about yet is gut health. So it's really important to, at least once a year, I recommend twice, do a full microbiome gut test. And there's different companies that do that. There's some companies that specialize that, but all the major labs will often test that, run that. And you want to do the one that's going to seem unpleasant, where you need all samples. It's not just blood or saliva. It's urine, and then there's also stool sample. And so sometimes you have to do them over the course of several days. But that really gives you a full panel of information. And if you're going to do it, you want all the raw data. You want everything. And even if you're only doing it once or twice a year. So that's something that I recommend. Not everyone is comfortable doing it or sets aside the time, but it's worth it for 4 days to know what's really going on inside your microbiome, because it's sort of a base for a lot of other things.
Great. I'm going to try that. I haven't done that, actually. You've been telling me for a while to try.
No, you haven't done it yet? Oh. Okay, well, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah, right. Well, I want to know how my gut is now that I've switched over to a diet that is very close to yours. My fridge, I took a photo and sent it to you, and you said, that looks like my fridge. I'm basically copying what you would. But it's true, I feel so much better. Anyway, my microbiome has definitely changed because now when I eat a big fatty or if I try meat, I just can't digest it and I don't sleep well. So that's and my inflammation has dropped dramatically because
that's amazing. So many things that we don't realize, whether it's a skin issue or allergies, or a mood, even fluctuations in your mood, that actually can start in the gut. And so that's why that's such an important base marker for everyone to know. And then it's almost like the pieces of a puzzle. You can take all these biometrics and you put them all together, and it really kind of like gives you the answer. So it normally takes more than one test, and a broad test doesn't always cover all the specifics.
Yeah, I like to do them 4 times a year. Sometimes I go for longer without doing them, but these days as I get older, and it's more important to optimize my body, I'm doing them more frequently, every 3 months or so. And it becomes fun. Once it's a habit and a lifestyle, you can compare notes. You and I share our data. It's fun to look at, and we give each other advice. That's the kind of lifestyle that we're thinking that many of you could adopt. And the benefits are huge, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to thank yourself that you started this, 20 years earlier. I wish I had been doing this earlier. But now it's an investment for the future, because you cannot expect to start when you're 70 or 80 and have the same results than if you start in your 30s or 40s.
Yes. I mean, it's never too late to start, but, obviously everything compounds, good things and bad things. So you want to compound the good. The earlier you start, the better. So yeah. And the other thing is then you can tell what's working for you. David and I can share all the hacks that we do, what we know has worked for us and our clients and our patients, but what works for you might be slightly different. Fasting for 16 hours might work better for you than 18. Fasting for 14 might be working better for you than 16. There's a question earlier about the intervals and when you do it because of your job. Fasting for that period of time is going to be beneficial than not, more beneficial than not, even though it might cut into recommended time frames in terms of your natural circadian rhythm, but still beneficial. So to each their own, and at the end of the day, what David's saying is tracking it helps. So
can I
for you, for plant-based, right? So you did a test how many weeks or how many months after you shifted over to a more plant-forward vegan vegetarian diet?
A month or 2 later after I shifted, my numbers were insanely good, better than
60 days, right?
Yeah, it was really amazing. And a lot of my biomarkers, I'm 52, almost 53, a lot of my biomarkers went down to levels of someone in their 20s, which I'm super excited that anybody can do this. I'm fairly lazy and I like meat. So if I can do it, anybody watching can do that. But what we want to do is provide guides and encouragement and hacks how to do that, because the initial period, if you go straight from a normal Western lifestyle, Western diet to what we do, it's going to be a shock to the system, and you probably will fail. It's taken many years for me to optimize my lifestyle this way. But there are certain things you need to know, which is when you start fasting, say you skip breakfast, and then eventually you might skip lunch, or you might skip lunch and dinner. You can't do that straight away. You need to give your body at least a month to get used to it, because otherwise you're going to feel really hungry and get brain fog. And then you get to think, I can't live with this. But it goes away. You don't need to be eating all the time. And
it's also your body's detoxing too. So it's understanding that detox process. Because I think people think that when they're shifting and they're cleansing and they're doing something that's good for them, it's going to feel good right away. But it doesn't, because there is this detox process that our body goes through, and you will feel good when you get towards the end of it. I had a thought, David, would it be helpful? Because you know how it's helpful for you to know what to eat, what to order, brands, different things that we did to shift your diet. Maybe we should do that. That could be an episode that we do.
I got it. Yeah, let's do a tour of David's fridge, or your fridge, even better.
Or we could even, maybe we could even take them shopping. and so.
Oh, yeah.
I think we have to check that with our teams. But before I say that, I'm not sure. There's a lot of brands in the store, so, we'd have to check with our team.
And we still need to do a tour of my lab too. Let's not forget.
Yes, we do. We need to do that.
Another test I want to bring up is a cancer test. There are a number of cancer tests now you can get. Your doctor can order it, or your insurance will cover it. There's one for colon cancer, which is you actually send off by courier some of your poop. But it's really easy. You can Google it. You'll find, if you type in colon cancer home test, you'll find these things. And they're really easy. You don't have to have a colonoscopy necessarily to get an answer, but talk to your doctor. Maybe your doctor wants you to have one.
While you're doing your gut poop, you might as well do your cancer poop. So I just do it all once.
Yeah, I did that a couple of years ago, maybe 18 months ago, and it was clear. But it was really important because going to get a colonoscopy going to get a colonoscopy these days during the pandemic has been really challenging. So these home tests are great. Speaking of the future, which is what we are here for, there are tests that are available now that they're a little bit pricey, but eventually they'll come down. We can have a blood test that looks at 20 up to 40 different types of cancer and detects it before it's even grown into a tumor or become a leukemia. And this is the future. This is where you don't have to wait to get sick to have your cancer diagnosed. In the future, it's only 5 years away, the idea that you would wait till you get a tumor before you kill it is going to seem medieval, in the same way that going to the doctor once a year already seems medieval. And so we've got telehealth. Telehealth is great. I would encourage you to try it. And also telemental health as well, which is a huge industry now. These are ways to see your doctor more often. But also, increasingly, people are turning to home diagnosis. The things we're talking about are things you can do in conjunction with your doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the just the greatest, I don't know if advances is the right word, but I've been doing this for many years now. It's probably for nearly 20 years, and the challenges of getting the right labs for myself, for my clients, it's been incredibly challenging. They've been very, very expensive in the past. And over the last 3 to 5 years, the availability and the accessibility of home kit tests is now, it's so prevalent. There's so many more companies now that offer this, and they offer them at a much more affordable cost. And so now that it's almost at our fingertips, like David said, you just have to Google, just look it up. You can have these kits sent to your homes. You can give samples from the comforts of your own home, and then you just send it back in. And the prices just keep going down. And there's a lot of different companies that do that. There's some that we've discussed in past episodes on David's podcast, that's on our website. But you can do your own research. There's more and more of them. And it's a way that you can empower yourself with that information and that data that you can bring to your doctor.
Right. You do bring it to your doctor for sure. Your doctor needs to know the results. And if you change your lifestyle dramatically, or you take it as a supplement, because it can interfere with current drugs or cause trouble for you. So, and we're all different. So we're not saying that we're anything like a replacement for regular medical care, but we are saying that we can do things that your doctor typically wouldn't do because it's too expensive or the provider won't pay for it. So you can do it yourself. They're fairly cheap. You and I spend a fair amount of our dollars on these things, but we think it's worth it because what's more important than your long-term health? Really?
Well, and then beyond that, we get to take that information and we share it with you guys. We're taking all those experiences, all those tests, those trials, what we're doing with ourselves, with our patients, all the information, we distill it down to a place that's digestible for you, so we can be a trusted resource.
Okay, you can see that I want to say something because I can't stop smiling. So what came to mind is, so often when people know about the two of us and they think, or they hear that we're taking all these tests and we're trying to optimize our bodies, their first reaction is, oh, wow, these two people must be obsessed with longevity. They must be really scared of dying. And they could not be further from the truth. Now I've gotten to know you. You're just like me, which is one of the reasons I love being around you. Our view is that we are scientists ourselves. We like to explore, we like to learn, and we like to share information. You and I are born teachers. We are teachers, educators. And the way we do that is by experiencing things and then passing on that information. If something doesn't work or it does, we will know that. And you and I mean, let's be honest, we're not scared of death. I mean, anyone who's seen you drive a car or me drive a car, definitely not scared of dying. In fact, I'm scared of you dying. But yeah, no, we're not worried about that. So we're driven by wanting to help people. And this is the reason that we're doing this as well today.
Guys, I'm just, you guys, I'm just a nerd. I'm super curious. I love learning about everything. I love sharing everything that I learned. If I bought this block's on sale, I'm going to tell you where to go if you like it and get it at the same time. That's just me and my nature. So we love doing this. Actually, is it okay to share about the app? Because a lot of this information is actually going to be on the app too, just not in terms of longevity, but just in general, just in nutrition and, how to shop and different things to do. Yeah. So I do have an app. It's launching in beta in a few weeks, and then it'll be available. But there will be a ton of content that will be complementary to what we're doing here, where it's just how as a chef, how I do things, as a nutritionist, how I do things, how you shop for foods, the different types of foods, how there a lot of information. So that'll be helpful for you guys too. And the app is free. So you can always go there and look, and there's different programs on there. What is so funny?
I think so. You're the perfect woman for me.
Okay, so thank you guys. I'm excited. I'll let you know. We will put a link up when it's ready, where you can try it out. Love your feedback. Just know it's the first iteration, so I'm sure there's lots of room for improvement. But the feedback is so important, and would like to kind of create a community around that. That's a part of this community as well. So,
do you have a name for the app? Can you tell us?
Oh, it's the Serena Loves app. It's the Serena Loves app, and so it's not available yet. I don't think is it, but it's not. It's not. I don't think it's live yet. And when it will be, I'll let you guys know. We'll definitely have some special VIP information we'll have on there. Maybe some parts that are from our chats as well. So okay, so we covered a lot of those things. People know to go to their site, our website, to see the different biohacking tools that we love and use. And I got a chance to test out a few new ones just recently and some new products. So stay updated on that. And David as well. We're trying out a few things, new things, and, just products and tools that might be helpful. So we're always going to be updating that. And then what else? Should we kind of go through some of these questions? Or
yeah,
I know that there's some holistic things that we've talked about here. That we can cover, I think, better in another chat, because I don't think you talked about acupuncture. Did you in your podcast episode? I see it in our notes here, but
no, you should.
Okay, so maybe let's save that. Let's save that for another episode, because this is really more of a follow-up to your episode 8. So if there's an interest in that, we can add it onto the list if we continue this series and talk about other topics.
Okay, good.
So
I have a question for you. I think so. I'm curious. I think a lot of people would be curious. How long do you think you'll live? And if you get those years, what else would you like to do with your life?
Oh, that's a tough question. Okay, so how long do I think I'll live? My numbers have been around 120, 140, but my real answer is as long as I want to. And what will I do with that? And just more time to create, to explore, to give, to serve, to do more, and to just live life at its fullest. There's so much that I haven't yet explored or learned or known. There's so much more that I want to create. There's so much more that I want to give. And so I can only imagine that with more things that come into our future, and some of them we haven't even shared here, things that I've learned just a couple weeks ago in Florida at a conference, at a mastermind that I was at. There's so much that's already here that people think is in our future. And being able to use those tools to continue to create is what I'm always going to live like this way till I'm done. So.
Well, you said you've been doing this for 20 years, so I would never mention your age, but you look amazing. Whatever you're doing, everybody should do it.
Well, thank you so much. I do have a filtered makeup on, which probably helped a bit.
I've seen you in real life. You do look amazing. So we should all follow what he does. That's one of the reasons I was inspired to take up your lifestyle, especially my diet, because and my skin and my face, how I look, my hair has improved. My oral health has improved because of it. I mean, just smile. Give me a big smile. Look at those teeth, everyone. They are super white, and you don't do anything to your teeth. You use
no. I oil pull. I don't whiten my teeth. I don't bleach my teeth at all. It's actually not the best thing. It's okay if you do it, but it's not the best thing for your enamel. It does cut away at your enamel.
It's coconut oil, right? It's the solids.
Yeah, coconut oil. So and it's not like I did coconut for 20 years. If you do it at any time, so the coconut oil is antibacterial. It helps pull the bacteria from in between your teeth because of the consistency. So you just take half a teaspoon of it in the morning before you put anything in your mouth. So no water, no coffee, nothing. Don't brush your teeth yet. Have a little jar of coconut oil in your bathroom and just take a teaspoon of it and then just, swish it around in your mouth. It might seem weird because it's like oil, but then it melts and then you just swish it around in your mouth if you can do it for 5 minutes, great. If you can do it for 10 minutes, even better. And it pulls the bacteria because that's what discolors your teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, so we only have a few minutes left. Should we go through some of these questions that we have here? We have a lot that have come in.
These comments are making me laugh so much today.
I know.
Cannot get this smile off my face. It's fun. And thank you all for joining. There's a lot of you here today. It's heartwarming.
You guys are amazing. And just that you guys were so patient because I knew it took a couple weeks for this episode to come on. There's some questions about brain health. I think that we could focus an episode on brain health another time and get kind of dive into it between diet, exercise, supplements, modalities.
Sure. Let's do that. And what's interesting about brain health is you've been an expert. You've been doing relaxation, breathing, meditation, and I'm a newbie to this, so I can represent the newbies who have never done it and how to get into it, because it's been a life changer for me. The ability to get through the night without a lot of sleep, not as much sleep as I want, and meditation has been very helpful to sleep deeply. And we've got some other hacks as well. We'll talk about those.
Yeah, even breath work, we could do that too. We could do like a short breath work meditation session. Oh, what would be cool? We could totally nerd out with you guys. If you guys have your biotrackers, if you have your HRV, if you have any of these monitors, you could measure it before we do like a 2-minute breath work meditation type thing, and then you can measure it after. And then in real time, you'll be able to see how helpful that is, and how that doesn't cost you anything. You can do it at any time because you'll be able to measure what that 2-minute meditation just did. And we can all do it together.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Maybe we should do we should do that, and have like a date where we do that. That way people have the opportunity to get their biotrackers for that.
Did you say you're asking me out on a date?
Okay, so we'll have a virtual date with a couple thousand people. How's
that? Sounds romantic. Okay. I have a glucose monitor that is interesting, and if people are wondering how to do that, we can demo that as well. I'm excited about us doing future episodes where we tell people not just how to measure themselves, but how to interpret the results, because that's part of the problem. A number is just a number unless you've got scientific training.
Yeah, that's a good point. Someone just asked what a good HRV is. So that's a good point. It's not just a number. You have to know what that number represents and what's going on.
Yeah, and also what's important is there are medical recommendations, which is what the average person has, but those are not necessarily the optimal for longevity, and we'll share those numbers you too, and they're often quite different. And so, that's super important information to know. But that's really cool. I think we're going to have a community here where thousands of people are going to live longer lives, many longer lives than we thought. And that's the point, actually, is that just by doing some lifestyle changes, you can add 20 years to your life. It's been shown that just by doing 5 major things, looking after your diet, your sleep, your stress, your drinking habits, and exercise, that's enough to add 14 years. And by tuning into these lives and us telling you some of the extra hacks and supplements, I think we can go to 20, 30, 40 years longer than we would have lived. And who wouldn't want an extra 20, 30 years? I think even to advise our parents and our grandparents how to live, that's important too. We want them to stick around for as long as possible.
And it's about living it in the best way. It's not just about living longer. It's about, spending that time feeling amazing. You wanna live as long as you want to live, in this optimal, vibrant, energetic way. So
we could also talk about pet hacks.
Yes, because this little guy, this was gonna live forever too. So so I'm getting a note that someone asked is Gizmo okay? It's okay. Thank you for asking. So I think that we kind of have a good sense of what you guys would love in some future episodes. It sounds like I've got to wrap up pretty soon. I'm getting the time chat, the wrap it up. So maybe we do that, and then you guys sign up for our email. Let us know what other episodes. Tell us what you loved about this one. Tell us what you want to learn more of. Tell us what you want to see more of, because we love that. It's such great feedback. And there's a lot of questions we didn't answer. Some are already specific to topics that we're already kind of setting aside. There's an interesting topic, a question about sex here. Is having sex bad for longevity? Well, maybe we should loop in Dave Asprey on this, because he does have a lot of thoughts on that.
We could do an episode on sex. You and I occasionally talk about that. It's not great for exercise. Most experiences, on average, are not enough for your exercise, but there are plenty of.
It was specific about longevity. The question was about longevity.
Well, I'm talking
about.
If
you don't have a full answer for that yet, then maybe we should hold off. Maybe we'll invite Dave Asprey to come.
I'm not talking about.
And we can do a 3-way about sex.
Yeah, a 3-way with Dave. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. All right, you guys. I had a lot of fun being here with you guys today. I know that there's some answers to questions that we didn't answer, but I saw that a lot of those questions fall into the topics that we will revisit as individual topic-specific episodes, so that we're not trying to cram in a whole bunch into one. And then what else is on here? Okay, so do you have anything that you want to add? Really very sweet. You guys are super kind. A lot of fun comments today. I love that. I love feeling like you guys are in the living room with us.
Yeah, this has been great. So my podcast series is on YouTube and Apple and Spotify. I did 8 episodes. This is the follow-up to the 8th. I'll do a second series, but Serena and I will continue to educate. We're going to have more of these. I think we can agree now that we're going to do more. Is that official? Do you agree?
Yeah. Okay. Of course.
And we're putting some of these up on some clips up on our YouTube channel, and we're going to have TikTok. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and then we can update. We'll update our link with all those other links too. Once all that gets set up. Oh, Gizzy. Okay, I think Giz is telling us it's a wrap. It's time for us to go. It looks like it's Happy Holi today. So Happy Holi, namaste to all our Indian community, our community from India, who's mentioned it a few times. So thank you so much. It was good to see you. It's good to see all of you. And then stay tuned if you want the replay and all the notes. Then go ahead and sign up for our link in bio.
Great.
Sound good?
This was great. Thank you for inviting me on. And next time I'll have you on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It sounds great. All right. Okay. Bye, you guys. Oh, and I have Max on in about an hour. So if you guys are interested in that, then stay tuned.
Oh, he's amazing. Show up for that.
Okay. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.